feel like a star, but only strictly where I'm famous. I'm in this for the longest haul, like we'll see where it takes us. I'm throwing back these double shots like whiskey here is weightless. Cause this career I chose was even riskier than Vegas, yo.
Hello, everybody. Oh, welcome, welcome. It is a happy Thursday night here in studio. And, you know, Tony, I got to say, I love when I get the legends on the show.
Me too.
So tonight is going to be such an amazing, fun episode. I have whom I love to call the boss in the house. And so that is going to be really, really fun. But we have two incredible mediums. They are amazing. And you know, what's great about these two is how much they work together and bring the love of spirit forward. I have learned so much from both of them, and this Saturday, we get to do an event together, which I am just thrilled about, and we're going to talk about it. But if you are a student and you are looking to develop your mediumship and have questions about spirit and tuning in and how to hone and what we call sitting in the power, which we're going to talk about, I want you to put a question in the comments. Let us know, because I got to tell you, I have absolutely one of the world's best mediums in the house tonight as my guest. Also, I am so lucky to have another friend. She is not only a medium, but a grief specialist. I'll tell you what, talk about someone who has made her purpose to help others move through their grief and to understand it on a whole new level. So I am so honored. I am so thrilled. I am so excited that they found time to get in tonight, because, you know, he just got here and I know he's probably a little tired and there's so much to do. But listen, I am so grateful, and we're going to get started here. Let me introduce to you world-acclaimed British medium, the boss, Paul Jacobs and Melinda Kushner.
Thank you, Colby.
Hello, you guys. How are you?
We're good. Looking forward to this short time we've got together.
Are you tired, Paul? Are you a little tuckered out?
I'm not too bad, because I was in Utah working last week, so I've already adjusted a certain amount. So I'm not too bad.
And that was your first time in Utah, is that right?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was successful. It went well. I was a bit surprised, because it's quite a strong Mormon date. You know.
It is. But you look like you had a great time. I got to see some photos. And hello, Melinda. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you so much for inviting us and doing this, because it's so important. And I appreciate that you're doing this for people.
Yeah, you know, this is such a great way to help people understand spirit, how to develop maybe their own gifts or what they can do, how to dive in and sit in that power that I learned from you, Paul. And
yes.
And it makes a world of difference. Or maybe it makes a spirit world of difference.
That's right, because, you know, somebody may have a mediumistic ability, but if you don't have the power, which is the fuel that makes it work, then it doesn't matter what mediumistic ability you've got, you're not going to have the power that will manifest it to the degree and the strength that it should be. Yeah.
And now for you, you've been doing this, it's like 50 years, right? Can I say that?
I'm not that old.
You're 50.
I might look in 30 years, Colby.
You're 55, right? I know
You've been telling me he's 35 this whole time.
Well, he looks it, doesn't he, Melinda?
Oh, sweet talk.
So, you know, Paul, when you see a student, do you see the spirit within them? Do you see mediumship? Look at them and go, oh, they are a medium. Is that something that you can do?
Yes and no. What it is, you've got those where it's already sort of like their mediumistic potential is already there on the top surface. It rose to the forefront, even though they don't understand it and really know about it. And then you've got others where it may be there, but it's sort of still buried deep within them.
Okay. How do you, well, I personally know how you kind of pull it out, but how do you pull it out of them? And what is the process that you help them see or work through to kind of let it evolve?
Well, first of all, as somebody's already said, meditation is very important, and it's about being able to understand the power within your own soul and develop that, because what we forget is we cannot develop mediumship. It's either there or not. Mm-hmm. We develop the power within us, and through developing that power, the gifts that we have then will open up and come to the surface. So for somebody, it may be a communication medium, as I do. For somebody else, it may be as a healing medium. For another one, it may be a trance medium. So, we develop the power that's there, which then will manifest into what gifts that person has within them.
What is your favorite story? So you studied under Gordon Higginson, yes? And I always love, I will tell you, I love that you share what he taught you. You do that a lot, and you really keep teaching it and sharing it. But I had a thought today. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you talked to him in spirit, but what if you were to just sit across the table and just have a chat with him? What do you think he would say to you today? Because he kind of raised you. So what do you think, sitting across the table, Gordon would say to you today?
He'd tell me to stand up and be counted and don't give an inch. Because quite often, you know me, I do speak out a lot. I put a lot of things out on Facebook which causes controversy, and I often touch nerves of one or two people who do this work. And Silver Birch, a guide of one of the great trance mediums from the past, Boris Barbanel, said, if you do not cause controversy, then you're not achieving anything. People think being all spiritual is being all love, light and sweet, but unfortunately, that's not the case. You've got to stand up for what you believe in, and I do that. It gets me into a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
But I came under the influence of one of the greatest mediums of the time, with wonderful gifts, and I've listened and I've remembered what he said, what he stood for, and I still try to keep that going. And even though people say they have that respect for him, of who he was and what he taught, and then if I use his knowledge and put it out there in a way, then people get all upset because it's touching a nerve, because what they're either saying or doing doesn't really come under what he's teaching and saying. So it does get me into trouble at times. But I stand for what I believe in, and what I know for me is right. Doesn't mean I've got the answers to everything, but when you've listened to a master such as Gordon Higginson, I don't think we can be far out of what we're trying to get across and teach.
Yeah. And what do you have a definition, may I ask, of what you believe to be spiritual? Because a lot of people ask, and they get confused as to, is it a way of life? Is it a religion? Is it both? I mean, what would be your take, if I could ask?
For me, true spirituality is being of service to others. Mm-hmm. Really, that's the purpose of our existence. It doesn't have to be as a medium, it could be as a businessman even, and you can still be of service to people where you're trying to benefit people through that business success. But people have got this idea that to be spiritual or to have a spiritual life or a spiritual word, they've got to be a medium or a healer or a therapist, and it's not true at all. Right. We need spiritual people in all walks and all forms of life, and that's living that power of that something divine that's within you, can move you and inspire you. And that's really is the great message beyond the message that we give in the contacts within our mediumship. It's to awaken the reality of that something divine and that power of the spirit within somebody, so that they will try then to express that power in their lives for the benefit of others, but in turn it will also benefit themselves as an individual in the giving you receive.
Yeah, it's Melinda doesn't, like, I'm like, oh, my little insides are doing a happy dance. They're like, oh, yes.
Absolutely. And for me, mediumship kind of has become secondary because, as Paul said, the different types of medium.
Yeah.
I love helping people understand their grief and their own soul's growth.
Yeah.
It's important.
Go ahead, Paul.
Like with Melinda, Melinda does a lot of work with parents who have children in the spirit world, and which she doesn't charge for. And we were speaking about this today. I often do work either for clients. I've even done classes and groups for free, and I get other mediums saying, "Oh, that's not good. It doesn't make us look good. You're doing this for free." Yes, we've all got to earn a living. I don't have a problem. I earn a living from what I do, but it's keeping that balance right, just being well known or just earning money from it cannot be the be all and end all of it. Yes, we do need to be known to a degree by reputation, and yes, we all need money to put bread on the table and a roof over the head, but we can never lose that true purpose of what mediumship is all about.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I saw Melinda so much where, it is interesting that Spirit is using you, working with you, through you, to really, really bring home helping these parents, anyone really moving through grief. And I see it, and I see, like, just how inspiring it is. One, it's like you have this level of understanding, and you have this ability to help them find ease and peace. And I think that is just such a beautiful gift that you are sharing and helping them kind of almost find that hope again, right?
Thank you, Colby. And yes, it's learning for all of us. Excuse me. I've been working obviously with a lot of parents, but for all of us, it's learning our own soul's purpose and why we're here, and understanding the forgiveness and what that entails. And for me, I was a nurse. And so when I look back on how I've gone through what I've gone through and gotten to where I am, I know that this is what I want to do. I know that this was my soul's purpose, is to help other understand their own grief.
Yes.
Really, any form of mediumship, what we should be doing is bringing encouragement and hope.
Yes.
That's the main purpose, so people can live again. And I often say, my purpose isn't as a medium, which I thought it was in the past, was taking away the fear of death and dying. I often say now, my work is really about taking away the fear of life and living, and people feeling fulfilled. And even the psychic work is important, not just the mediumistic aspect. If I look at all the thousands and thousands of messages and sittings I've given, everybody's problem in life is the same.
Yes.
Circumstances may be different, but they're not living their life in the way their soul needs to express.
Right.
I would like to know if you have meditated on why you have so much trouble with travel. Like, they're all, I have never seen. So what do you think that's about? Have you asked, like, this is not funny, Gordon, not funny? I mean, have you asked?
Can I interject here for
yes.
just a minute? Because actually I was with Paul and we were on our way to Holland, and somewhere along the line, I don't know how it happened, but we just forgot to get off the train. and Paul was like, oh my gosh. So we had to literally run. I had high heels on, pushing, my 150-pound suitcase down the thing.
To catch a train to get back to where we're supposed to be going.
So actually, I think it comes from Paul's exhaustion, because he does so much traveling.
I think, sometimes when I'm traveling, is that quite often I'm sort of like half in this world and half in the next world. It's like my mind's in the spirit world half the time, even when I'm on my own. But also what you've got to look at, if you look at the amount of traveling I do, I'm traveling, flying 40 weeks a year, so, percentage wise, I'm going to get a little bit more. hassle and problems than the average person.
Yeah, that is true. But whenever I see you, I'm like, oh, come on, let them just get there. Let them get there.
I love doing those posts because I know people love it and enjoy seeing
It
them,
is.
what's happening on my journeys. But it, and this is it, often, aspiring mediums who want to become full-time mediums, they look at me, what I do, where I go, and they think how wonderful and how glamorous. It's not.
A lot of work. Yeah.
Yes, I go to some nice places. I meet some wonderful people. But, it's not as the glamorous lifestyle that people think it is.
It really is a life of service. And
you're booking your life away 2 years in advance. It doesn't matter how you feel when that time comes around, or what's happening in your own life. You've got to turn up and be there. You've got to have that commitment and dedication. I mean, I've gone to places where I've had to sleep in terrible circumstances, countries where I don't speak the language, I'm left on my own, no company. Missing family and friends events because I've already made commitments to be away. So, there's a lot it takes to be able to do this work full time and travel. Yeah.
But it's, it's one of those, I'm so glad that you do, though.
Yeah, I'm glad I do as well. I enjoy it. Everything in life has a positive and a negative aspect to it. It doesn't matter what it is, So,
yeah.
But at the same time, I know I'm fortunate to do what I do. And it was a difficult choice for me to decide to become a full-time medium because originally my intent wasn't to be a medium. It wasn't what I was particularly looking to be. And I started working as a medium next to my everyday full-time job. And it got to a point where I was having difficulty doing both. And I kept saying to the spirit world, should I stay doing this part-time or do you want me to go full-time? And what answers did I get? Nothing. So I decided to book a sitting with a medium who I respected, and he didn't know the reason why I was going. And he gave me some good evidence from my family and friends in the spirit world. And then he said to me, Paul, the spirit world have just said, it's your choice, your decision, whether you do this full time or not. And I thought, oh no, that's not the answer I want. But then he added, they've just said though, but if you decide to go full time, do this work full time and give your life to it, they will always make sure there's enough work to provide for your physical needs.
Wow.
And there's never been a time where there's never been enough work to provide for those needs.
Wow. And you are, so talking about doing mediumship full time, if you see a student who really wants to, what advice would you offer them? You can't not just quit and go, right? I mean, maybe what advice do you have for someone who says, how do I know if I'm supposed to do this full time?
Well, there's many I actually try to put off from doing it full time. Secondly, because even though they may have the potential and the quality to do it full time, you have to look at the other circumstance and aspects of his life. So if I've got a guy in his 30s who's married with 2 or 3 kids and he wants to do this full time, I've got to look, and make them realise, is your family life going to survive? You travelling and being away all the time? Yeah. Are you going to be able to earn enough to provide for those needs? I remember one guy who was desperate to be full-time, and I said to him, you've got the ability and you've got the quality, and I know you'll be able to get the work, but I don't think you'll be able to cope with it. And he said, no, I want to be a full-time medium. And because I believed in him, I helped him. I took him to Italy, I took him to Switzerland, I got him known in the churches, and now he does nothing with mediumship. I think he's a policeman now.
Oh, yeah. See,
he couldn't cope, couldn't cope with it, because it is a pressure, especially when you think, when you go away, you've got those demands. I mean, it's not so much now. I mean, when I used to travel abroad, we'd have to do at least 40 private sittings on a journey abroad.
Yeah,
and and to be able to come up with the quality or the standard for that amount is not easy to do, and actually not always possible to do, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
So, and he couldn't cope with the pressure because he was a genuine guy and he wanted to give everybody the best he could, but he felt he couldn't cope with the amount of work and the quality he needed to do all the time, to do it full time.
What are you, Melinda, you traveled just as much. I mean, and you've been working with Paul. And you've been working with Paul. The two of you together have really formed such a bond and a friendship. But what would be the one thing that you feel that you learned about your own soul purpose by just being on this journey with Paul?
Well, first and foremost, I believe everything that Paul has to say when it comes to mediumship. When it comes to mediumship, his integrity, his knowing. I love spending the time with him. I love sitting in the car and visiting about wonderful things that he has to share with me. And we share almost identical thoughts on what the spirit world wants for us. And, if I could say anything that I could take away from mediumship for other people to understand is again, it has to go with what your soul knows to be right. There's so many mediums, people in this world work that take advantage of others. And, that's just not what this is about. And, as Paul has said, and a couple other mediums that I also respect, when you get to the other side, you have to answer to those people. And I don't want to be a line facing me, asking me why I did what I've done.
Yeah. How could you tell them I said that?
Yeah.
No, and if you look with our mediumship or what we're doing a service, I mean, like I've known you for a while. I know your mediumship, and I've seen the good work and quality you can do. But like, you enjoy working and attracting the young people. You try reaching the people through your show. So we'll all have maybe an area that we particularly specialize in, or is our forte that fulfills our soul, or we've got that little extra quality or empathy of what we want to achieve and express it. And that's right for every individual in which way they want to manifest that.
Yeah.
Right, and we should learn to work together, not apart from each other.
Yes.
And I know that I told you this before, Colby, I'm so impressed with the fact that you have that ability to attract the younger people and open up their minds and their thoughts on this. And that I'm so appreciative of.
Oh, well, thank you. I really, that means a lot. I really appreciate it. So, we do have a question. So, and I mean, I kind of know the answer, but we need to hear from the boss. How does someone prepare to work with spirit using meditation? Like, if they're not, like, let's say they're trying to, but their mind is busy, how do they start it?
I'll be truthful. People want to jump straight to the spirit world, which is putting the cart before the horse. So, most of my seminars I call soul to soul. Yeah. So what they've got to realize is they need to do, first of all, self-awareness and meditation to go within their own soul and to understand and know their own soul and deal with all the weaknesses, the strengths, the positiveness in developing the spirit, because the soul is the vehicle of the spirit, the emotion, and that higher consciousness. So you've got to have an awakening and awareness of that within your own soul, because when you want to communicate with the spirit world, it's those three elements within your soul. You've got to bend with the soul from the spirit world. So if you've got no understanding or awareness of being able to use those three elements within your soul, you're going to find it very difficult to communicate with the spirit world. And over the years, sometimes the psychic level has become a negative, dirty word.
Yeah.
And it's not. It's very important. And I actually believe people would be better working, even though they may be eager to work with the spirit world, they would be better developing the psychic side first. One, it's an important part of our work, but if you look at the soul, the psyche, I look at it like a muscle. So by doing those psychic exercises, it's strengthening that muscle. But when it then comes turn then to move it to blend in with the soul, with the spirit world, because your mediumship works through your psychic faculty.
Yeah.
So we need to strengthen that psyche first, but also there's got to be that self-awareness, because if I don't understand and know myself, how on earth am I going to understand and know the client, let alone understand and know the person in the spirit world?
Yeah. And I know just one of the things also that I love how you describe. You tell someone, if you've got this picture, if a clairvoyant, everyone is that seeing. If an image pops in, don't just say it, like, share it. Let's unfold it. Let's tell the story. And I love that, because it really was an awareness that says, oh, wait a second, we are bringing them right here for almost tangible, in almost such a beautiful, tangible way.
That's right. I mean, I love teaching clairvoyance. I think it's my pet subject, and often people do get wonderful clairvoyance imagery from the spirit world, but what they tend to do is go into a long, complicated story describing what they're experiencing and seeing, rather than understanding the evidence from it of the life of the communicator.
Yeah.
So in a way, I always say it's like learning another language.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look when man and woman first began to communicate, go back to the Stone Age time, you go to the Aborigines, all the different cultures. What was the first language? Pictures and symbols.
Oh, yeah, right. Exactly. That's actually a really great point.
Yeah.
You should teach
put
this.
So much information into one picture.
Yeah.
And then what a lot of students do, and even some mediums, they'll make one basic statement from it, or this long descriptive story of what they're seeing, and then their mind goes searching for something else or another picture.
Yeah.
But that one picture, if they just stayed with it and worked with the spirit, that one picture can tell you a whole story, but would also deepen the evidence rather than all this top surface generic information.
Yeah. And I bet, Melinda, for you, especially when you are doing the medium readings as well, I bet, especially doing this, and I bet you're so wonderful at being able to share the stories with those images,
Well, yeah, I always make a joke and say, gosh darn, if you can take the time to show me the images, why don't you write it on a chalkboard, right? But I noticed that when I'm doing readings for parents and their children are in spirit, and the enormous amount of love that they give through, but with that wonderful evidence of what that parent did for them, no matter the crossing.
Yeah.
But that evidence that brings that parent, and it doesn't have to be an hour's worth of evidence. It can be what touches that person's soul.
Yes.
It gives them that greater understanding that love and life is still in existence.
Yes.
See, and I think also we've been bad as mediums, I include myself in the past, where we don't educate the general public properly. I so often hear mediums say it's like a telephone line.
Yeah.
If only.
I wish.
But that makes it sound to the public that we hear everything word to word.
Yes.
Yes. When I'm standing in an audience of, say, new people, I always say to them, I said, no medium is 100% accurate. I said, because we have to interpret these feelings, we have to interpret this imagery, and our mind can interfere. So all I'm going to say to you, ladies and gentlemen, tonight is, I'll be honest with you, you be honest with me, and that's and I think we really need to get this across and educate the public properly in how a medium works, how a medium receives the information, because too many people want to make it sound spectacular, and in ways that it's not, and that doesn't do good really for those people, because then the public's expectations are then saying, oh, well, it's like a telephone line. Then why can't they give you the full address, postcode, and telephone number?
Why are they not telling you exactly what sign they're sending me? You're like,
right, which also I think is a good point, too, is what we just spoke about earlier, was that because of a medium, if they're not developed in the proper way and they have their own issues that they haven't worked through, that comes out in the reading.
Yeah.
That's why when Paul says, you have to develop all the way you do.
Yes.
But just an example of clairvoyance and speaking about hearing, I remember a lady I'd seen several times, whose daughter was in the spirit world. And at the end of this one particular sitting, she says to me, Paul, she says, you've really helped me and my family a lot. She says, and there's no doubt, that, my daughter's communicated on many times, but we've been waiting for one thing that you've never given us. So I said, well, can I ask what that is? And she says, we've been waiting for a nickname. So I said to her, well, I'm not going to try deliberately because my own mind will start conjuring up and thinking of all different things. So I said, but maybe now my mind's more open to it for the future. And then I said to her, just before we finish, I said to her, your daughter's just shown me something here, and your daughter must have a favourite cartoon character. And she says yes. And I said, and she has a picture in a frame of that cartoon character next to her bed. And she said yes. I said, and that cartoon character was Betty Boo. And she burst into tears. She says, that's what I've been waiting for. That's her nickname.
Oh, that just gave me chills. That just gave me chills, goosey bumps. That is amazing. And that is, that's a great point for those developing. If you put too much pressure, you're going to kind of get into that logical mind part and not surrender to the spirit, right?
That's right, and this is why I don't believe in the client asking, "Can you tell me this about them? Can you tell me that?" Yeah. One, the way they form the question, what answer they want anyway.
Yes.
And two, then is it your own mind that's creating the answer? So for me, it has to come naturally, like it did in that instant. But then all that just shows you the potential of the clairvoyance. I will often get either nicknames, name of houses, name of businesses, street names, surnames from clairvoyant pictures, not just from clairaudience.
Right. And I think that goes back to your earlier point that that's why you can't get too detailed about it, right? Because you got to just be able to give what you're getting, so that because that may be the name, that may be the number, or whatever is needed, right? And if you think about it and not just share it with them.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I did a demo in Utah last week, and I was giving a lady contact from mom and dad, and the dad was the main communicator, and the mom came, and I said, your mom just keeps showing me a bell, but I know it's to do with the name of something, and I didn't know. She says, oh yes, my mom worked for Bell, the telephone company.
Yes. Oh, how fun, right? How cool.
Yeah. So, and this is why I still enjoy my mediumship after all these years. When the spirit will give me something different or in a way I've never received it before, I'm like a kid at Christmas with a new toy. It's like,
it's like, ooh. Is there anything through the time you've been doing it? Because you did start pretty young, and I know it's not something you volunteered for. I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, Gordon threw you up there.
That's right. I think one of the things I find with a lot of students, and I actually stressed it to the group I took last week, I said, too many of you decide what you want and what you want to be with mediumship too early in your journey.
Yes.
If you're interested in the subject, you want to go on a journey of self-discovery, then do that, but do it with joy. And as it unfolds, it will lead to what you're going to be and do with it.
Yes.
People get so uptight and restrictive right in the beginning. What am I going to be? What am I going to do with it? I want to be this and that. And they're only on the first rung of the ladder, Just do the journey and the experience and enjoy it, and the journey will unfold that you're going to do naturally.
100% correct.
Yeah,
I would have never thought that I would have gotten to where I am. You asked me that 5 years ago. Well, I would have never thought I would be doing a lot of the grief help that I'm doing. So you don't know what lies ahead of you.
Yeah, and right, it is about just seeing where they put you. I would have never thought I'd be up in front of people doing readings.
Right?
It's like, oh.
I remember when I first met you, Colby, and to the last time I saw you. I mean, you know me, like you've done a lot of work with me where platform mediumship was concerned, and the last time when you was came to further your training as a student, I said to you, I was so pleased with what you're doing. The change over those years, and that's what people got to realize. It doesn't take, it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen yesterday, and people want it when they want.
Well, they want the instant gratification, right?
Absolutely.
And I keep saying there's only so much we can actually teach as teachers.
Yes.
It's hard work, practice, getting it wrong.
Yeah.
Getting it wrong. And I actually say to students, I want you to get it wrong because I can teach you more.
Yeah.
Because actually everything I teach you is actually from what went wrong for me in my training, but also in the real situation. So I teach you things that will help you stop you getting those no's or so many no's. And if you do get those no's, what to do about it and how to deal and handle it.
Yes.
Because if you don't get no's in the classroom, that's the place to have them.
Yeah.
But but if you've not dealt what causes a no in a classroom, you're not going to have a clue how to deal with those no's in the real situations, and you'll just blow yourself apart.
Yes.
And Paul is such an incredible teacher. I know people tend to be a bit apprehensive of his teachings. I couldn't appreciate them anymore. And I just told him today, when I went to he has his House of Spirit in Germany.
Yes.
And so I had gone there, and Paul's exercise was, there were, I think, 11 people in the class, and his exercise was, okay, everybody stand up, and I need to see where you are. So give a reading. And I'm like, you get sweaty, you get scared. You're like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Paul sitting here. And after I gave my reading, and he said, and I expect nothing less of you from now on. I went, oh gosh. But you know what? Paul is of the highest quality when it comes to teaching. And that's what people need to understand.
See, the thing is, I can remember my mother saying to me one day, she says, Paul, you'll always go through life disappointed. And I says, why? She says, because you always set the bar so high. Yeah. And I says, yes. I said, I may not always reach that bar. I said, but I've got a chance of reaching higher if I set it higher.
Yes.
I said, if I set the bar low, then I'm not going to reach it higher. And this is, and this is what a lot of students do, as long, that they don't push to that next stage, and often they come to me, they say they want to be stretched or they want to be more evidential. And then when I try to do that, then they go, oh, they crumble to pieces and I'm being hard and horrible, But I said, it's like I can remember giving a contact near the end of being a student, and I thought it was good. And the contact was for Gordon Higginson. And he said to me, have you finished? And I said, yes. He said, so you don't want to be a good medium? So I said, yes, of course I do. He says, well, instead of just telling me the lady played the piano, tell me what she played on the piano.
Yeah.
Instead of just telling me there's a photograph frame on the piano, tell me what was in it. So I got back up, the piano come back, I could see the sheet music, told him the music, yes, that's correct. Then I got my own back on him. I said, this lady was a medium. And he says, yes. How do you know that? I said, because in the photograph frame is not a photograph, it's a psychic spirit drawing of a guide of a Native American Indian. And he says, that's correct. Now, that's the difference between an average medium and a good medium.
Wow. Wow.
And this is what I mean to see students getting things and they stay at a level with it. But if that general information there, the extra information is there, if they're prepared to go for it, but more than anything, not be scared and be prepared to be wrong.
Yeah, and to not fall to pieces if you get the no.
That's right. I sometimes invite a recipient to say no.
Yeah.
I mean, I gave a name the other night, which I got a no on. Well, she didn't want to say no. She says, it's very close. And I says, sorry, no, I'm wrong. If I say I've heard it, I've heard it. So if it's not correct, I'm wrong. You're not changing it to make it fit. And I'd rather put my hands up and say I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's okay. Now we have an event Saturday night right here in LA.
Yes.
I am so excited. I'm beyond excited, and it's at the Olympic Collection, which is right in kind of near Westwood. Everybody, it's right off of the Olympic and kind of right off of Sepulveda, right? Saltel. So it's right in that area. And I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a beautiful evening of mediumship demonstration.
That's right. I'm looking forward to listening to your mediumship again, Colby. It's been a couple of years since I've listened and watched you, so I'm looking forward to it.
I'm going to try. I'm like, you know.
I know.
if I have to run off to the bathroom beforehand, you know I'm a little nervous. I'm just gonna say, but I am just so. I'll tell you, because you know, for anyone, I mean, here's the great thing. I have had the beautiful opportunity of, you know, watching both of you demonstrate, and even though it's a little different styles, the information and how it's done is done with such beauty and integrity and the healing. And so I'll tell you what, you guys, if you have not seen them, you have not lived. No.
but that's wonderful. You know, I say to people, you know, the way mediumship works, it has to be the same vein that runs through it, but it's made individual by us as an individual soul and personality, and that's what makes mediumship so interesting, because we're all individuals. So even though the three of us are doing the same work and we'll be working together, there'll be that individuality with each of us as the person and the makeup of who we are. And I think that's wonderful. That's great.
I think it's so important because, you know, there's just different types of people. There's different types of recipients. And so I really feel like personalities and individual styles are so needed to reach everyone.
I mean, you might have, say, somebody's brother in the spirit world who wants to communicate, but they prefer to use you rather than me. You know, you're more a suitable medium to them than
or
me.
cuter.
You know.
Well, thanks, Melinda.
Yeah. That's why I said brother.
That's so funny. So, and we still, we're going to put that link up because I believe we still have some tickets. So make sure you grab a ticket, you come out and you hang out with us. And, you know, I want to ask, just, you know, we're running out of time already, if you can even believe it. Paul, in looking at your career, is there anything that you feel that you would do differently, you know, especially as far as mediumship or serving? Is there anything that you go, you know what, I would actually do this differently now?
I think the only thing I would regret a little bit is that, because I do travel all the time and the hectic lifestyle of being full time, that in another way I've neglected my own development. Okay. So I still believe I could have maybe reached more, and also maybe given time to other aspects of mediumship which I haven't had the time to develop. And I know when I do slow down, I would love to go back to the healing work, which is the work that I first began when I came into this. Wow.
And Melinda, where you've got this grief tour that you were doing, and if you'll just take a minute and share a little bit of what that is and what it's about to the listeners so that they can kind of find that space and place to learn more with you.
Thank you. Well, first, you can go to my website to see where I will be traveling next. But for me, it's helping people understand, again, I know I said this, but understand who they are. Because when you understand who you are, where you've had a loss, it as Tom Zuba says, it cracks you open, and it brings that need for understanding who you are, where you're supposed to be going, and then that purpose in life. And I think that's, for me, that's my most my biggest desire, is to help people understand who they are. You know, we've all been through life. We've all been, you know, we all have our own scars, and learning to get where they are and not feeling the guilt. And understanding the love and forgiveness for ourselves.
So, I mean, I found from my experience too that, you know, people's grief, many people often go into the negative aspect of guilt, remorse, and give so much destruction to that person and their life, on top of the physical loss of the person of who they love. So there has to be this healing and an understanding of themselves, and being kind. And again, this self-awareness, that in the same way we need to do with mediumship, it is releasing the negativity, acknowledging the positive aspects, within their self, their own life, and the positive aspects of that person that was in their life, and try to deal with all this regret and guilt and remorse.
Well, I want to just thank you guys. I mean, I have to say, Paul, you changed my life, and I am just forever grateful. And you are the boss. I love it. I
love being called the boss.
It is so because I think too that straightforward and that honest, but there's so much care behind it, and I think people, and if you are really ready to develop and grow, it's not intimidating. I mean, it'd be more intimidating not making you proud, but I just appreciate both of you so much. I appreciate
you too.
Thank
Absolutely.
you. I appreciate what you're doing, how much you give of your own life and your own self, and the sacrifices. I mean, I've seen it, I know it, and I can I know the spirit world is super happy that you're continuously serving and helping, and I am looking forward to seeing you both Saturday evening.
Same here, Colby.
Yes,
really looking forward to
Colby.
it. Okay, and maybe there'll be time afterwards for a little bit of the other spirits in the glass together.
I would think I may need one either way, Paul. I depending on how it goes, I may need a couple shots to call it a day. No, I wanna just share, anybody out there. The websites are right under their name. So Paul Jacobs, it's paul-jacobs.com. Melinda Kushner with a K.com. Look them up. Go to the websites. Grab some tickets. Come and hang out with us. There is a VIP ticket where we actually will have a meet and greet with you after, so you can meet them up close, personal, give a hug. Paul loves hugs. So... anyhow, I want to thank you both so much.
Thank you for the show, Colby. Appreciate it.
You have a beautiful evening, and I'll see you both Saturday night.
Okay,
Perfect.
Look forward to it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Good night. God bless.
Bye.
Bye.
Sometimes I feel like a star, but only strictly where I'm famous. I'm in this for the longest haul, like we'll see where it takes us. I'm throwing back these double shots like whiskey here is weightless. Cause this career I chose was even riskier than Vegas, yo.